So Amazon claims to be a consumer-centric company, and I think goes as far as to say it is the most consumer-centric company on earth, which begs the question, why do I have a horror movie advertised that's blocking what I want to search for? And why is there no way to disable it? Now, this is on the heels of mentioning to Amazon that I don't like any of these ads. I don't want any of this. I don't want this. Anyway, this is Amazon. But I thought we'd go through a list of some of the things that have gotten worse that Amazon has chosen not to respond to over the years. And so let's look. I'm going to go on to my orders. And one of the things that we can see right here that isn't there is contact the seller. That's an easy button. There's lots of space, and it's not there. And we're going to go down to review something, which is something I actually need to do. Now, this brings me to something that I've experienced in the last 6 months, which is I will write a review and get a note that my review cannot be posted at this time. Well, that's a strange thing. And when I combine it with the various other experiences of downgraded service, it makes me wonder if for companies that are paying Amazon to sponsor its products and put its products first, if it doesn't offer some kind of a harassment of negative reviews. And I used to be able to just leave a star rating. Now I'm required to do a description. I would go to let people do either because sometimes I'm not going to take the time to write all this out. But good idea, bad execution. Okay, so we're going to return this, and And then we see a couple of things that have deteriorated. Now, this is a new thing where you have to ask yourself how many people who have just received a defective product would want to receive a gift card, and how many people would just like a refund, and how many people want to be asked the question at all. I can't think of anyone who would want to be asked the question at all. And so I'm going to click this, but this is a robbing of my time. And I think this is a loss. Now, this is the next robbing of time. There has never been a time in the more than 1,000 orders I've placed on Amazon where I have not wanted it picked up. So if Amazon was interested in saving me time, it would notice that algorithm and at the very least give that as my default. But the bottom line is that Amazon saves money when I have to go to the post office to return a defective product. But I don't want to have to go to the post office if I'm being shipped a defective product. And so we're going to click Submit. So those two things are odd for a consumer-centric company. Now, these are obvious things. I don't want these ads. I don't want to have to click this button. I don't want to have to click this button. I would like to have a setting where I can say, make this my default. The biggest concern I have is that I have written to Amazon about excessive packaging. I just received a lawn chair cushion that is the most unfragile item you could possibly order. And Amazon put it, for no reason at all, in a box that was 90% bigger than the item. This cushion could have folded up in any way imaginable, but Amazon chose to stick it in a box that's 9 times too big. I have to get rid of these boxes, and they waste paper. There has never been a single time I've written to Amazon where they have changed a defective policy. And the question is, why? So the question is, why? And I don't know. I tried ordering a movie, and I paid $4 to watch Dances with Wolves. It's a magnificent movie. In the last moments, if you've ever seen that movie, it's a magnificent event. And the music, as the titles begin to come on, are incredible. And I see a pop-up right here that says, next movie, Space Halo. And it says, get up and press delete if you don't want to watch this. Well, it's already distracted the ambiance. I have no interest in that movie. I'm not watching it next. I haven't purchased it. What I want is a pristine ending to my movie. But I'm not given that choice to disable that feature. And the question is why? For a consumer-centric company, have I not even been asked, let alone been given the choice? Finally, we come to the new array of, we come to the new array of Prime features. Now, when I began Amazon, every single time I saw this logo, it meant one thing. It meant that I could return the item if it was defective and they would pick it up. I just spent an hour today going to the post office because a $530 camera that arrived defective, Amazon suddenly decided it would not pick it up, which means there's uncertainty about the pickup, which means I'm not going to take as many risks. But this used to mean one thing. And we're going to go to one of these and we're going to start seeing now, Prime used to mean 2 days shipping. 1 day was great. And you could pay $3.99 for a 1 day shipping option. And this was amazing. Now, I want to say that Amazon's core competency is trust and time saving by minimizing unnecessary thought. And I also want to say that because of Amazon's behavior, it has lost 50% of my trust and is now costing me 700% more time than it could or used to cost me to shop. And the reason is simple. I do not trust Amazon to bring the lowest priced item with the best reviews and put it first. I trust Amazon to sell its priority space and my attention to the highest bidder, because that's what it does. If we look down here, we're going to see sponsored products related to this item first. And next, we're going to look at what customers want. These are almost always more money than these. But the issue is, Amazon is selling my attention first to advertisers and secondly to what I'm most likely to like, which is what gets the best review. Like this gets a better review than this, and it's cheaper. So why wouldn't I want this to be seen first? Well, of course I want to see it first. Why doesn't Amazon, the most consumer-centric company, want to see it first? Because it gets a lower commission on a lower priced item, number one. And number two, because it's making money per click, per viewing, that it's not making down here. And if I'm in a hurry and I trust Amazon and make the mistake of trusting that Amazon actually has my best interest at heart, I'm going to quickly click on one of these before I notice that there's something with better reviews, more reviews, and cheaper. And that is a betrayal of the contract of trust that comes with saying you're the most consumer-centric company on earth. Now, because of Amazon's betrayal of those trusts, I've got this feature called Honey. Honey would not be necessary if Amazon was doing its job. Honey is necessary because so many people find that Amazon will not put the lowest price item, even of a given exact brand first. Meaning, my typical shopping experience, the reason that I spend 7 times more time than I could if Amazon was trustworthy, goes like this. I find something, then I start ratcheting through, and I go through what I would call the maze of mysterious insanity. I'm going to click on this. Now new slippers are going to come up that didn't click up on the one before. And I'm going to spend minutes upon minutes trying to find something that suddenly pops up When I say suddenly popped up, I mean, it's like, why wasn't this there the first time? It's got stunning reviews. It's got a low price. It's what I'm looking for. And Amazon would not bring it to my attention. And what was way up at the top, the most expensive items, regardless of their review. Now, this is bizarre because you won't even see Amazon's recommended label. Now, if you look carefully, you're going to see at some point Amazon's choice. See if we're going to find that anywhere. See, Amazon's choice. The question is, why wasn't the thing that I picked up and searched for the first time loaded with Amazon's choice? Why do I have to hunt through Amazon's own algorithm to find the choice it's recommending? Now, we're way off topic here in terms of the, this is not a slipper. But my point is there is an Amazon's choice button or sticker. And it's not advertised. And it is not in the first search results in many cases. And the question is why? So we then come to an interesting shipping thing where we have to read more and more fine print. There are now Prime products that take a week to arrive. There's other Prime products that take a day. There is no simple code. You have to read text or you can miss a critical time-sensitive item that I used to be able, if I saw this logo, say, can I hold out for 2 days? If yes, buy with one click. Now here's the next little quirk that Amazon's thrown at me to waste time. When you want to buy an item, you want to buy the item. Occasionally, you might be interested in subscribing. But let's do vitamin C. And, well, let's just... Okay, well, let's look for this. It's not vitamin C. That's another issue. Why, when you do search results, Amazon can't limit things to that result. I tried to search for a book earlier today, and I put in the name of the author. And before I had seen all the books by that author, there were sponsored ads for 3 or 4 other books popping up in the search results, which is, again, selling my attention to an advertiser and damaging my trust that Amazon has my interest at heart. Now, this is an interesting thing here because, see, here's select shipping speed. Okay. It's not doing this, so we're now dealing with an erratic issue. But typically, when I go to buy a vitamin, this button here defaults to subscribe and save, which means that if I'm in a hurry, which is my favorite thing to do on Amazon, is shop in a hurry, I can't just click buy with one click, because if I do, I have inadvertently and accidentally set up a subscription. Now, my point is, every single thing on this that isn't consistent, the shipping that isn't consistent, whether buy with one click is a subscribe and save today or a one-click purchase, whether we have certain items on Amazon that never used to be there that are not available to buy with one click. Meaning I've turned on OneClick Shopping. I've been doing that for 10 years. And I'll turn on an item, and whatever it is, and when I go to when I go to click Buy with OneClick, it says Buy with OneClick is not available for this item. And the question is why? So I have to put it in the cart and move it over. Now the concern that I have is that if a seller for some reason doesn't want to pay for OneClick Shopping, I suspect that Amazon is charging its seller to an extra 2% or something to be able to buy with OneClick, and saying that because of that, your product will more likely to be bought, which is true. And then they're saying, well, you're not paying the 2%, so we're not going to give you that button. But my buying experience goes down so that Amazon has leverage over its sellers. And I wouldn't be thinking this cynically with a company that had responded constructively to a single 15 constructive feedback and criticisms over the years. But far from ads going away, my advertising has gone up. Far from my time being saved, every year Amazon sells a piece of my attention to the highest bidder in one way or another. Another case in point, I give a bad review to Amazon Fire, and I get called at dinner by an Amazon sales associate who says she's going to call back if I don't answer, because she wants to persuade me to write a better review. Well, the review had one criticism, and one criticism only, and it was a criticism of Amazon Fire that I saw on a number of review points. The criticism was that I could not give a voice search for YouTube using Amazon Fire, which was 90% of the reason that I bought the stick. That was, being able to watch YouTube on my big screen with voice Google search would have been a big deal. And as many reviewers pointed out, Amazon went out of its way to make that not only impossible to voice search, but it was actually awkward to download and use the YouTube app. Probably because, again, using the cynicism cultivated by Amazon selling me short, because they want to steer me towards Amazon information when Amazon does not have the quality of information and variety that YouTube has, which is another area I'm being sold short for short-term profits. Now, when I point these out to anyone at Amazon, the response is standard. Thank you for your email. We will forward this to the appropriate department. Which is who? Which means what? Which is corporate speak for nothing ever has happened, nothing ever will happen. Fuck you. We're in it for us. And we just, for those of you that don't think carefully about these details, we're just going to call it a nice label, a consumer-centric company, because that sounds good. But we're not actually going to listen or think about what's best for the client. As Amazon gets bigger and bigger and behaves consistently unethically in these areas, it will, of course, come under more and more regulation. And it is these points that need to be looked at and answerable. And I think ultimately that these hurt my trust in Amazon, which means they hurt the amount that I'm willing to buy and trust Amazon, which means it cuts into Amazon sales, which means it cuts into Amazon goodwill, which means it cuts into shareholder value. I don't trust Amazon until I get a nuanced response to how these things are perceived in anyone's interest, one, and which 100 people have been surveyed to vote on any one of these string of increasingly irritating, wholesale raping of Amazon's core competency, which is trust and time saving. That's what makes shopping fast and easy and fun. When you trust the person you're dealing with, and when they're doing everything they can to do what you need and want and not hide anything from you. That's when buying is fun. That's when it's fast. That's when it's trustworthy. And that's when I click faster and more often. And I've been told by one of the reps that with my thousands of orders, I'm one of the top accounts. One rep said they haven't seen an account with as many orders as mine because I do my business and my personal shopping. So every single one of these things I notice. Now, it's quite possible that Amazon's treating its less frequent customers worse. I just know how they're treating me.